Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to our second episode of Between the Lines, a really exciting new Zoomies Twitch series that we're doing, where we have an opportunity to connect with pro skaters who continue to explore some of their other creative outlets by writing, which is exciting. Most exciting part about today is I am here with skateboard royalty. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the Twitch stream, Karl Watson. Karl, so excited to have you here. Thank you so much for being a part of this with us, and couldn't be more excited.
Donnie, skateboard royalty, come on, man. What an honor. Thank you, sir.
I mean, you can't deny it. You can't deny it. Co-founder of KO Distribution, pro writer for Maxallure, Venture, Tutorials, Adidas, a huge list of credits. Just, couldn't be more excited. My legs are shaking as I'm standing here for the opportunity to talk to you. So it's amazing.
Thank you, Donnie. Well, it's a pleasure to be here to talk to you and everybody else.
Thank you so much, man. I appreciate it. So before, again, the goal of what we're trying to do, we're trying to talk about the book that you've written. We want to talk about that. Before we jump right into the book, as I did some research prior to the interview, there was a common ground of everything that I uncovered as I was looking at, and it has to do with positivity. And I think that links a lot back to what you're doing with the book and things like that. Talk to me about how, through the last year, through everything we've encountered, through everything that you've gone through, how have you, or what are the things that you do to maintain the positivity just in your life and everything that you've done?
Well, that's a pretty loaded question, and I wasn't expecting that. So the things that I do personally to maintain a PMA, a positive mental attitude, I like to go into nature every day. I like to, do some deep breathing, some stretching, skating, of course. I like to move my body, keep the house clean, spend time with my children. And that's what keeps me happy. Just doing the things that I love.
That's amazing. Speaking of children, I think congratulations are in order. You had a son that graduated recently. Is that correct?
Yes, sir. Thank you. Yeah, he's 22 years old now.
Congratulations. That's huge.
Yeah.
That's amazing, man. Congratulations to both of you guys. That's huge. Let's get down to it. Let's start talking about this book. So excited. A children's book. What made you tackle a children's book, My First Skateboard?
Well, what made me want to write a skateboarding children's book? I would have to say because of my love for skateboarding. I started early on at 11, and right when I began skating, the culture of skateboarding adopted me. And so skateboarding saved me from so many things that I could have gotten caught up into, being a young African-American male growing up in the inner city. So I really appreciate my parents, for one, for being open-minded, and also the culture of skateboarding. So
that's great. That's great.
What inspired me to write the book was the fact, this is a little funny, but I'll be honest with you guys. So it's the fact that skateboarding was heading into the Olympics. So early on, when we got the first news, I got a little scared, Donnie. I was concerned that the ethos, all the positive attributes that skateboarding provides for so many was going to be lost. So I got to thinking, I was like, how am I going to embody what I've gained, what all of my friends have gained from skateboarding into one piece for everybody to indulge and learn from? So that's when I thought about creating a children's book. What better way of influencing the masses than having a children's book that little kids and babies will read and have it be read to them. So that was the motivation behind it.
How did you determine what the messaging was within the book? What did you prioritize when you said, I'm going to write a children's book, this is what I want the message to represent? How did you determine that?
That's a good question, Donnie. I would have to say, on a piece of paper, old school style, pen and paper, I wrote down all of the key attributes that I've gained from skateboarding, and I put them into the story. So one most important attribute that skateboarding offers us all is the fact that it brings everybody together, no matter where you're from, no matter what walk of life, what color you are. And if you see a crew of skaters skating down the street, They're all different colors. They're all happy and they're all getting along. And those are the things that I wanted to point out. The fact that skateboarding is a community builder. The fact that it breaks down the age barrier, the size barrier, the race barrier, the gender barrier. And so, yeah, I mean, it was pretty easy to write it after that, honestly.
Yeah, that's amazing, man. That's an amazing sentiment about what this book can represent for those little groms coming up in that culture. That's pretty huge. That's amazing. With that, yes, kind of direction, did you know then that you wanted Henry Jones to illustrate it?
Good question. Initially, I found an illustrator based out of the UK, and her style was completely different than Henry's style. I thought she was the one until I saw this piece on Henry Jones that was put out through the barracks, and I was like, wow, I really like this guy's work. And everybody seems to get his work tattooed on their bodies. So I reached out to him. He was down. I contacted the first illustrator, let her know that I apologize. I hope you understand, but I'm going to go with somebody else. And it's been a great working relationship since that point on.
That's great. That's awesome. Yeah, I was excited to see that someone else that's involved in skateboarding was able to be the illustrator for the book as well. I think that's a huge piece. And I know that we all follow the hashtag HJ. I can't remember what the last piece is of all of the tattoos, but that's always pretty exciting to look at for sure.
Well, Donnie, honestly, if it wasn't for that decision to work with Henry as an illustrator, I don't think the book would have done as good as it has. Because, it had to, me being, whatever, a pro skater, a person that's been in the industry a long time, and an artist who's respected within skateboarding to make the magic happen, and that it did.
I love that you still put pro skater in air quotes with your name. That still speaks to the humbleness of which you approach it. It's pretty amazing. But
Thank you. Well,
so yeah, go ahead.
Well, I mean, I'm not technically a pro anymore. I mean, I own a skateboard company. I can put my name on a board. I work for skateboard companies, and I mean, I can be a pro, but I don't really care for that anymore. I've had my day.
Yeah, that's great, man. Give me the breakdown of the book. What's the book about? Give me the characters involved. Tell me what I can encounter cracking the cover. What is it that I can expect to see when jumping into the book?
So it's a quick read, concise, straight to the point. The main character is named after my son Jonas, which is based off of the whole story is based off of what I encountered as a young child in San Francisco, meeting people and going around the city skating. So yeah, main character Jonas, and it's just a good feeling. I've seen people, cry after they read the book. People just love it, man. They love it. It's a great story. So, and we're also working on the sequel. It's called My First Skateboard, Jonas Meets Jack. So I elaborated on, skaters meeting people, other skaters from around the world. And so that's what My First Skateboard, Jonas Meets Jack is about.
That's awesome. When can we expect to see the second one?
The second one is going to be available this holiday season.
Oh, perfect. All right, everybody mark your calendars to grab your next book to follow the story along. That's great. As you were growing up, were you always kind of a creative outside of skating? Were you always kind of creative? Did you mess with writing as you were growing up? Did you kind of explore that avenue as you were younger?
Well, when I was younger, I was really into mathematics. So mathematics and skateboarding to me were like hand in hand. And I started getting into, more creative outlets like art and writing in my older years.
Okay, cool. Was this something that you had dedicated to doing yourself? Did you have a team that worked with you, or was it like, I'm going to write this book and I'm going to try and really shape what it's going to become?
Good question. It was, so it wasn't something that I had planned on making money from, first of all. It was all based solely off of getting the message out there about what people can gain through skateboarding. So the process was a little brutal, Donnie. I, wrote the book. I dabbled in writing screenplays, so there is way too much dialogue. So Henry sat on it for a good, 4 to 6 months, Henry Jones, and said, Karl, man, I want to illustrate this, but there's just way too much dialogue. We have to revise it. So I went back to the drawing board, cut it down, simplified it, and then he went straight to it and made it happen. But after it had been illustrated, I shopped it around to publishers for 8 months to a year. And I just kept getting the runaround, man. Like, it's a crazy game where they fully take advantage of you, unless you have like some kind of connection or there's some nepotism involved, you're going to get pushed through the ringer. So I made the decision to self-publish the book. And that was a big risk that I took that paid off.
That's great. Do you plan on doing that with the next one?
Oh yeah, 100%. So after the book came out,
awesome.
It was we showed the proof of concept, right? And then we were approached by a number of publishers. I met with a few and checked out their deals and unfortunately had to politely decline.
That had to be one of those proud moments where it's like, you all slept on me when you had the chance, and now that you see that it's successful, now that you come knocking at the door.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't really like proud as if like pump my chest out proud. It was, I'm always open to
Right.
hear people's, opportunities that they present. So yeah, I was just stoked that they were interested, honestly.
What do you think that the writing of the children's books means for you going forward in terms of writing? You said that you dabbled in screenplays. Is it something where you'll continue to do more writing? Do you ever see yourself potentially writing a novel, or will you kind of stay in the genre of children's books?
Well, that's funny you say that. So definitely want to continue writing. And I love children's books because you can, insert messages that are positive and inspiring for children. So, but there is another book that I want to write. And I've spoken to my friend, Andrew Huberman. He's a neuroscientist, skater turned neuroscientist. And so I want to write this book, The Discipline of Skateboarding, and talk about how skateboarding affects the mind in a positive way. And he's going to give me all the information to plug into it. So we'll see if it works out. But for now, I'm sticking to children's books.
That's great. That's awesome. So what's next in terms of not only necessarily just the writing of the children's books, what are some of the things that you have coming up that you're really excited about?
Well, I'll tell you here first. Maxallure and Adidas, we have a collaboration coming up for next year sometime. So keep an eye out for that. We have a potential retail store popping up for Maxallure here in San Francisco. So keep your eyes open for that. Let's see, what else? I don't know, man. The sky's the limit. Every day I'm grinding. Just keep your eyes on me.
That's great, man.
I'm in flux.
That's pretty exciting. I love it. As we continue to go through the interview, I just want to encourage the viewers, keep an eye on the chat. Zumiez is going to be releasing codes and stuff like that to earn Zumi stash points, other things that you guys might encounter throughout the chat. Karl, I want to open it up to a couple of questions that we've gotten from the audience as we're watching. The first one is, what do you think is the most important thing to instill in a little girl when teaching her to skateboard?
I would have to say the most important thing to instill in a little girl when teaching her how to skate is the fact that she's going to fall and get hurt just like everybody else, and the fact that she is no different than the boys and that are doing it at the skate park. So it's important to what I feel is important to instill in them the facts that, yes, you're going to fall down, but you're going to get hurt. You got to get back up. I feel like that's the most important thing. Like,
yeah, for sure.
Instill,
I think that's
like
a life lesson beyond skating.
It's not going to feel good when you hit the ground, but it feels good when you land the trick.
Yeah, I think that's one of those life lessons that goes beyond just skating, you know? Like if we're talking about that positivity, like you said, it's going to feel good when you land it.
100%.
For sure. Next question is from IMIAUY. Don't know how to pronounce it. What was the hardest part of writing a children's book?
Oh, that's a good question. I think the hardest part to writing this book was to figure out how to simplify the dialogue. And so in doing so, I had to put the dialogue into the illustrations, you know, so I had to put as much description from each scene into the illustration. I took it away from the dialogue and plugged it into the illustration. So that was the hardest part.
Okay, cool. Next question is from O'Malley. Do you find yourself escaping into your own world while you're skating?
You know, definitely. I mean, that's the goal. If I escape into my own world in my head, then I accomplish the goal. But if I'm there skating and worried about everybody else around me, then I'm not doing a good job. So you gotta be able to dive in. Honestly, when I was younger, I had a backyard with concrete and, you know, all the trees around, but I had this really nice concrete slab where I learned all of my tricks and I was able to skate alone and focus. So that I really appreciate having access to that as a kid.
That's great. What is it that you're reading right now? What kind of reading do you enjoy? What is it that you focus on when you're picking up a book?
Oh man, I don't want to scare the audience here. So I like to read about things that further my perception. Okay. So at the moment, I'm reading a book about stones and crystals, and about how certain crystals have piezoelectric properties. And well, one cool fun fact that I can share with you, I'm sure most of you know it, but it was new to me. When you take two quartz crystals together in the dark, and if you clank them together, if you take two quartz crystals and you clink them together in the dark, they create a spark of light. And it's so fascinating to me. So I'm just reading books that, you know, further my perception.
I love it.
But
fantastic. Did you have a favorite?
Recommend though, some really good books.
Yeah, let's hear them. I'm sure the audience would love to hear them.
The Celestine Prophecy. I'm sure you guys all heard of that. Way of the Peaceful Warrior, amazing book. The Alchemist, a really good book. What's the one I was thinking? Oh yeah, Tuesdays with Maury. That is a really, really, really good book. Highly recommend it.
Do you tend to gravitate towards fiction or nonfiction?
Definitely fiction.
Yeah. You can interpret the world however you want, right?
Yeah. I mean, well, it's a fine line. You know what I'm saying? Because what is reality?
I don't know that we're ready to unpack that one today.
You know,
we've only got about 8 minutes left, but
the world is multiple perceptional, you know. So when I say fiction, I say it lightly. I say it lightly because I'm trying to expand my perception.
Yeah, of course. Did you have a favorite children's book growing up?
No. Just I love cartoons, man.
What was your go-to?
I liked He-Man and She-Ra and, you know, all that kind of stuff. The Transformers.
Yeah, fantastic. Well, Karl, again, man, like I said in the start of the interview, it's skateboarding royalty. It's been so awesome to talk to you about the book. It's been absolutely amazing to have an opportunity to ask you these questions. I want to give you one quick last opportunity to kind of plug whatever it is that you've got going on. I know that you shared with us first that there is a Maxallure Adidas collab coming out, and I'm sure the audience is stoked to hear about that. You know, plug the Instagram, plug whatever you got going on. Everybody would love to hear it and just kind of wrap things up for us.
All right, well, come check us out, maxallureskateboards.com. Also, myfirstskateboardthebook.com. The English book is sold out, but we have more coming in late October, early November. Also, everything Adidas, man. We got the new Tyshawn Low that's out. That's killing it. Try a pair of those and let me know what you think. And by the way, guys, this is my very last copy And so one lucky winner in the comments is there. You guys are gonna win this, and I'm gonna sign it and send it off to you. Okay.
Wow.
So hopefully you have some drums
huge.
around that you can
Be
read.
huge to have a little. Yeah, perfect. A little piece of history to hold on to and inspire the youth at somehow. That's amazing. Karl, it's been such a pleasure talking to you, man. It's so exciting to talk to somebody with such a positive energy. Thank you again so much for answering all the questions. Thank you for being a part of this amazing chat. Again, everybody, thank you for joining the Zoomies Twitch channel. Keep an eye on the chat for any last minute codes for your opportunity to win that signed copy from Karl. Thank you again so much for everything, and stay tuned for your next episode on the Zoomies Twitch Between the Lines. And with that, we are signing off. Thank you so much, guys.
Awesome, Donnie. You're the best. Peace.
Thanks a lot, bud.
Later,
Appreciate
guys.